Material design for face-to-face environments. Task 1. Looking into for designing teaching materials. Student Mónica Cecilia Beccaria Vargas. Teacher Cristian Quintero. Universidad Nacional Abierta y a Distancia, UNAD. Licenciatura del Inglés como Lengua Extranjera, SEAD Bucaramanga, February 2022. What should English language learning ELT materials have? Most EFL/ESL teachers are creative professionals who have the potential to explore their creativity and embark upon the fascinating task of developing their own didactic materials based not only on their teaching experience but also on their expertise in the cognitive and learning processes needed by EFL/ESL learners as described by Pineda 2001. Therefore, this task should not be confined to text developers exclusively, since there is no complete textbook that fulfills both learners' and teachers' expectations as concluded by Núñez and Telles 2008. It's important to have in account that a whole industry has been built around changing teaching resources and methodologies. We as teachers know the need of developing instructional materials, recognizing the importance of teaching resources and strategies used to maximize students' language learning. Pondering on the teaching process is vital in the search for developing materials that satisfy students' learning objectives and styles, preferences, and expectations. Gardner, 1993, envisioned the multiple intelligences model in which he asserts that human beings are unique and have eight native intelligences he termed as interpersonal, intrapersonal, musical, spatial, kinesthetic, logical, mathematical, linguistic, spiritual, and naturalistic that must be acknowledged and developed when teaching a language. This in turn should lead teachers to reflect upon classroom procedures in unique paths. Language learning material constitute a key factor in following creating effective teaching and learning environments. Following Tomlinson 1998, these materials could be considered effective if they facilitate the learning of a language by increasing learners' knowledge, experience, and understanding of it, and simultaneously helping learners learn what they want and need to learn. The effectiveness of materials used for language teaching depends on how meaningful, relevant, and motivating they are to the learners. Here we have a chart where it describes the qualities that teachers need to meet to develop the students' demands. Able to see students as holistic unique individuals, fond of facilitating students' learning process, avoiding their frustration, willing to devote time to teach with laughter, keen to minimizing difference and maximizing similarities among students, ready to innovate in their teaching practice, willing to take and make teaching decisions, less eager to single out what should not have been done, keen on praising students' attempts to perform tasks in different ways. What are the main principles of second language acquisition relevant to development of materials for the teaching of languages? Materials development entails the blending of reasoning and artistic processes, which are guided by some tenets and essential ingredients that help both language learners assimilate and provide teachers with the groundwork to embark on the materials development route. Although in the field literature some theorists have devoted valuable time to providing principles and strategic components of materials development, such as Tomlinson (1998), Harmer (2007), Arnon (2003), and Small (1997). We will stick to Tomlinson's principles of second language acquisition (SLA) that apply to materials development. In the following list, we present the tenets that materials development must hold. Achieve impact through novelty, variety, attractive presentation, and appealing content, help learners feel at ease, help learners develop self-confidence, relaxed and self-confident learners learn faster, IBIT, be perceived as relevant and useful by the learner, facilitates student self-investment, which aids the learner in making efficient use of the resources to facilitate self-discovery, attain readiness as asserted by Krashen 1985. There is a need for roughly tuned input since it features what the learners are already familiar with, but that also contains the potential for acquiring other elements of the input which each learner might or might not be ready to learn. Draw learners' conscious or subconscious attention to linguistic features so that they become aware of a gap between a particular feature of their native or first language and the target language. Seliger, 1978, suggests that helping learner notice the gap between output and input facilitates the acquisition process. Provide opportunities for communicative purposes in L2, thereby fostering language use, not just usage. As pointed out by Canal and Swain, 1980, learners should be helped to reflect upon their existing procedural knowledge and develop strategic competence. Take into consideration that for learning to take place, learners may be able to rehearse certain information to retrieve it from short-term memory or to produce it when prompted by the teacher or the materials, but this does not mean that learning has taken place. Ellis 1997 reports on some research on this principle and suggests the need for post-evaluation of materials to find out what learners have eventually learned as a result of using them. Take into account students' different learning styles such as visual, auditory, kinesthetic, analytic, experiential, global, dependent, independent, etc., as suggested by Tomlinson 1998 and Harmer 2007. Regard students' emotions or affective screen, as DeLay, Burt, and Crash in 1988 assure. Learners' individual motives, emotions, and attitudes are displayed in the EFL classroom and result in different learning rates and grades. Allow for a silent period at the onset of instruction until learners have gained sufficient exposure to the target language and confidence in understanding it. Stimulate left and right brain lateralization through intellectual, aesthetic, and emotional involvement. While the left side of our brain processes speech, analyzes time and sequence, and recognizes letters, numbers, and words, the right side processes creativity, patterns, spatial awareness, and context, and recognizes faces, places, and objects as affirmed by Tomlinson 1998 and Arnon 2003. Offer plenty of free practice, as Ellis 1990 asserts controlled practice seems to have little long-term effect on the accuracy required to perform new structures. Ellis also points out that controlled practice has little effect on fluency. Provide opportunities for outcome feedback. The following aspect we would like to address has to do with the fundamental elements that must be taken into consideration for the development of teaching and learning materials. Thank you very much.